Hey everybody, Frank Chimento here. So I'm getting a lot of questions and comments and requests for, hey, can you give me some of those Jedi mind tricks and those body language tips and all of those things? Because I guess a lot of people do know that I am considered a body language analyst expert and actually certified in federal court and been working with that body of science for a long time with behavioral mechanics and things of that nature. And so one of the things that I wanted to demystify a myth is, a lot of people say you got to pay attention to the eyes and, and they've got these little charts and you can go online and look at charts that say, if you look up to the left or you're lying, if you look to the right, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if you're believing that or you're following that stuff, I'm going to tell you, you're wasting your time because that is absolutely insane. And here's the short of it. Reading body language and becoming a body language analyst, it deals with the entirety of a person. Circumstantial, things that are historic, things that are future-paced, things that are current in the now. And it has nothing to do with any one particular thing, whether it's, deep breathing or shallow breathing or, racing hearts and, pupils dilating and flushing in the cheeks and, what they call micro expressions, which are things that happen in like 1/32 of a second. It has, a little bit to do with the eyes, a little bit to do with the feet and the angling. It has to do with all of that. And all of those things together add up to creating a picture, which is, basically how to read body language. But a couple of things I wanted to tell you that you can do, and it will give you some really big kind of leaps forward as far as building rapport and really kind of understanding if you're getting to the heart of somebody. And by the way, if you have kids, this is awesome for testing out on kids because kids are the best test subjects in the world because they have no idea what they're going into and they give you really great feedback, physiologically. But one of the things that I like to do is I call it where I call them my throwaway questions, and it is whenever I'm talking with someone and I'm trying to identify, where they're coming from and if I can read if they're being upfront with me or if they're actually being honest with their feelings or if they're being guarded. There's a couple of things I do, and I have a list of what I call throwaway questions. And throwaway questions are designed to do two things. Number one, I want to ask a question where somebody would be required to remember something from their past, a recalled memory. I'm trying to find out, and this is strictly based on eyes and head movement, I'm trying to find out if they are recalling a memory and recalling something that happened, or if they are doing what's called a created memory or essentially lying. A lie is a created memory. It is not something that happened in the past. It is something that's been formed in the brain as they're moving forward. So, for example, I was testing this on my daughter and I asked her, I said, hey, honey, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, I'm just thinking, I'm just curious. I said, what color are the walls painted in your bedroom right now? And boom, man, my daughter's like eyes rolled back in her head. They shot up to the left, and so for her, and I measured this among other questions that I asked her, but for my daughter, that's a really quick read and that's a tell that she gives off. That information leaks out of her that when my daughter is recalling something, she actually has a tendency to look to the side and up to the left. And that's the way she is. That also it tells you that they are audio and visual types of people when they're recalling memory. Audio is people look to the side. Visual is obviously up. And then you've got kinesthetic people that are feeling-oriented people. Those people kind of have a tendency to look down or glance down. And by the way, these things can happen very subtly, and sometimes their body doesn't move, just their eyes will glance or shift in a split second. But then what I also do is now I want to find out, what does her creative memory do? Does it do the same thing or does it go to a different place? And so I'll ask her a question like, hey, honey, I'm just curious, one day when you're my age and you're married and you've got kids of your own, what color do you think your daughter's room would be painted? Well, there's obviously no way that she could know this. So she has to create that and process a thought. And sure enough, man, my daughter went back to the right and she went to the opposite side. So I wanted to say this because these are great things. And you think about this when you're dealing with a homeowner. And you want to know, like, hey, what does your husband think about this? And before you do that, you want to know, is this person being upfront with you and all that? So during the initial rapport building phase of the conversations that you're having, build in some what you would call throwaway questions where you're really not paying attention to the answer. You're looking at how they answer and where they go. And I'll tell you right now, if you can do this and you can condition yourself to get good at it in a business setting, man, it can be very, very powerful for teaching you how to ask a question and you can hear what they say, but you can also see what they really mean, and you can see if those two things are congruent. And if they're not congruent, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily lying. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily telling you the truth. It means that there's something disconnected in there, and it requires you to probe a little bit deeper if you want to really create a congruent, rapport and relationship. So I hope this little tip helps you a little bit. Obviously, body language is it's a complicated and complex thing. It's not something that you can just go to a weekend workshop or read a book and really understand it. I mean, this is something that I've put in well over 10,000 hours in studying and refining and being a part of. But man, I love to share the ideas because there are some little nuggets that you can kind of pull out and really apply very quickly that can help you in a business setting. So stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a little bit of this quite often and talk about a few different things regarding body language, how you can control your own body language, how you can, just literally by controlling your posture, that you can, change your physiology. You can change your stress levels and the hormones in your body. And, as they always say, the old, the victory pose and goofy things that most of us think like we feel like complete idiots for doing. But if you're really serious about changing your subconscious outlook and attitude toward any particular situation, man, there are really good tricks and hacks, if you will, life hacks to really control and manipulate your own body language in order to better persuade and influence other people. And of course, everything that I teach always comes from the idea that we're doing this for authentic purposes and not with any ill intent in mind. So anyway, I hope that is helpful for you. Make today a great day and get out there and crush it.